how can you help people to improve themselves to be better? What I did is I tried to be a server.
In this episode, we meet Dr. Heidrich Vicci, a seasoned engineer, entrepreneur, and mentor who has dedicated decades to driving innovation and empowering the next generation.
I said leadership is not for everybody because you need to have that critical thinking, how to solve problems.
And there's some problems that even if you know what the problem is, you shouldn't try to fix it in the moment. You should involve your team so that you can work collectively together.
If you don't ask questions, you maybe miss the real problem because you don't understand what's going on. You need to be patient. This is nothing that you're going to learn from one day to another. You have to read a lot, learn what you do, be hungry, ask questions, and learn. You're going to fail, you're going to stand up and keep working.
Resilience often comes from facing life's greatest challenges head-on and emerging stronger. I'm Alex Ponce. In this episode, we meet Dr. Heidrich Vicci, a seasoned engineer, entrepreneur, and mentor who has dedicated decades to driving innovation and empowering the next generation. Despite extreme personal adversity during his doctoral journey, Dr. Vichi continues to lead with wisdom and determination, proving that true leadership comes not just from experience, but from perseverance and vision. Well, thank you for coming here, Dr. Heidrich Vicci.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
I know you as Rocky, so I guess for the purpose of this segment, I'm just going to call you Rocky if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind.
How was your drive in today?
It was okay. I mean, no traffic.
No traffic.
Even though we're in Miami.
Very unusual. Very unusual. Wanted to talk about a few things because you have such a varied history and background that I don't even know where to start. It's so much good stuff.
Sure.
Let's go to where you are now. So you are the CIO of HV Technology Group.
Yes.
And I wanted to know, what inspired you to start this firm? Because people don't just decide one day to start up a technology company. What got you to this point where you made that decision? I want to start this and I want to see where it goes.
Sure. But I would like to start going back to the beginning.
Okay.
Everything started 30 years ago or 35 years ago.
Okay.
Before, when I came to this country, I came as tried to get a contract in baseball.
Okay.
So I was playing baseball on my teen years, representing Venezuela nationally and international.
Okay.
And then I got invited to participate in the training on the rookie league with Kansas City Royals in Sarasota.
All right.
So I did it for a year. And after that, since I didn't get any contract, I went back to Venezuela.
Okay.
And then, we talked, at that time I was a teenager. And I talked to my father and I said, well, I would like to go back to school.
Okay.
And do, everything related to technology.
Okay.
And then they sent me to Maryland.
Okay.
And Washington D.C. Right?
Well, you're going at warp speed, so I need to go back a little bit here.
Yeah,
so
sure.
So you are the CIO of a technology company, but at the very beginning you were in baseball.
Yes.
Somehow, some way, baseball was your calling at the beginning. Did you want to be like a baseball player?
Well, that was my passion.
It's your passion.
When I was,
but the whole game, or to be a player, or to be like
you're a team player, right?
Right.
And then you learn the whole process of be a team player, how to do things with the team.
Sure.
And you learn that process, right?
Okay.
And I didn't know that,
of course,
until later. And then so I went back to Maryland, and I went to school.
Okay.
I went to school to University of Maryland. I got my bachelor's degree in computer science.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. And then I started looking for a job, and I found a beautiful job
Okay.
for with a company called Technology Technics Corporation.
Okay.
And then I started working there as a technician, electronic technician. I learned the process of manufacturing telecommunication equipment
Okay.
for Bell Atlantic.
Oh.
And then I started to testing, and I started to do things and programming in BASIC, imagine.
No,
So,
this is your
yeah, long time ago.
Basic says it all.
Exactly, a long time ago. But that was the programming at that time to test instrumenting telecommunication equipment, like T1, T3, different signals.
And while you were there, were you an individual contributor? Were
Well,
you part of
I
a
started.
team?
I started as a electronic technician
Okay.
in a group building
Okay.
equipment.
Okay. So you were already part of a group from the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah, we were like 12 people.
Okay, that's
12 technicians.
that's a pretty good size.
Yes. So I learned the process how to do everything. But in my case, I'm very passionate, and I like to ask a lot of questions. How do you do this? How do you test this? So I learned.
How old were you at this time? Like 20, 21,
I was
22?
25.
Okay, a lot of questions.
Yeah, 25. A lot of questions. And then I started to learn the whole thing. And then since I got my degree, I went back to my supervisor. I said, well, I finished my degree in computer science. How can I help you?
Oh, nice.
And then he said, that's very nice. We're trying to build, at that time, right? That was late 80s.
Right.
We tried to build the network for the engineering department.
Okay.
And then I said, well, I can do that. I can help you.
And what does that mean exactly?
Exactly means that we didn't have anything automated.
Okay.
Everything we did is manually, like,
someone has to go out there and do it.
And whatever. If you want to do send an email, we didn't have that. You have to take the paper and you work and give it to the supervisor,
So Bell Atlantic was looking to find ways to automate these processes.
Bell Atlantic and the company, Telecommunication Technics Corporation.
You were like a third party, like a contractor.
No, I was a regular employee.
A regular employee, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So my supervisor said, okay, Heidrich, now you're going to be the admin for the network. In those days, there was a Novell 1.2, something like that.
I'm actually familiar, yes. That's...
So they give me everything. I said, okay, learn it, I do it.
And you became an admin for the network?
For the network, for the engineering department in those days.
And did you have direct reports?
Not at the moment.
Okay, no, but it's still, that's a pretty big step up.
No, I know. And then I started to learn. I went to take some classes in Novell and learn the operating system and learn how to extract all the directory using in those days, we were using CC mail.
Okay.
Something like email.
I was going to say like internal.
Yeah, exactly, internal process. And then I started to add a schedule. We didn't have a schedule in those days. An application that they did the schedule, added to the CC mail.
Okay.
And I did everything by myself. So I liked that process. And I said, oh, this is good for me. So I went back to school and I got a lot of information. I got some certificates in networking, in telecom, in Novell, and I started growing.
Right.
But I was like there. Okay. Like I didn't grow. It's like, okay, you're doing this and that's it.
Oh, so you weren't advancing.
No, I was like staying there, doing the work, like every admin.
It was good work.
Yes.
Good money.
Yes.
Good hours.
Yes.
The people that worked under were
beautiful
decent?
people. I mean, they were always teaching me because they were like more advanced.
Of course.
They were electrical engineers, embedded systems. And then they were like, Rocky, do it like this, do it like that. Learn this process. And then I was learning and learning. I was like, hungry to learn the whole thing.
So there was no upward mobility, but you were becoming better and better at the job you already had.
And those days, the networking side were getting better and better.
Well, yeah, you had to keep up with the technology.
And then I was keeping up.
No, I mean, it's interesting because when you got into this, you have over 30 years of international IT management experience.
Yes.
You're around before a lot of the technologies we take for granted today existed.
I always say that's a good thing. It happened to me.
Yeah.
Because I learned the process of when the PC came.
Right.
And then the network got better and better.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew with that. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is crazy. Now, when I see everything right now, I'm like, oh my God.
No, you're what I call a key master, because most people today have to learn, I don't know, let's say 30 different things.
Yes.
And to them, they're all abstract. But because you were there at the beginning, you understand, oh, wait a second, all these things originated with this one or two thing, and then it expanded outward from there. So you see connections that other people don't, because you understood the evolution of all these processes along the way. Yes. So to you, this is nothing. This is like a French person learning German, and or a Belgian. Well, because to you already have all the different pieces already there.
It was like a new language, but you have to learn step by step and learn it well.
Right.
Right? Like, you want to speak well, you got to do this.
Right.
Grammar, writing, the whole thing.
Yeah, they all lead together.
Right. So at the end, like right now, when I talk to students and try to be a mentor, I always remember, 30 years ago. And I say, wow, I remember when, my early days, and I didn't know anything. Now I can transfer this knowledge without any issue.
No. We're gonna get to your teaching, because it's actually quite impressive.
Yes. So and then after that, after I finished working with Telecommunication Technics Corporation, I got a nice offer.
Okay.
To go back to Venezuela through a company called GTE.
Okay.
GTE was the old company before Bell Atlantic, Verizon, the whole thing, right? And they got merged. Right. And they got Verizon.
I see. Yeah, I thought I recognized that.
Yeah. GTE. So GTE started to buy small companies in South America.
And you were a part of this process.
I was part of the process in Venezuela.
Did you find that every time the GTE would buy a company, some of these companies were perhaps not up to date with the newest technology?
Of course.
And so, of course, GTE was responsible for bringing them up to date?
That was the idea of GTE.
Oh, get older companies and then bring them up to speed.
Not only that, because to get the contract of services.
Sure. Well, that too. It's business.
Everything's a business, right?
Right.
So let me sell you the bill system. Let me sell you the service system. How do you do the whole thing?
Right.
And then I'm the one as a consultant to help you to improve that process. And I was part of that, right? So I'm like, wow, this is crazy,
Right.
And then they implemented that in Venezuela, and I worked for that company for the main telephone company in Venezuela for almost 7 years.
Okay.
So I did it as a director.
A substantial time.
Yeah, I did it as a director of internal telecom.
Okay.
So
there you definitely had direct reports. You had divisions.
No, that
sounds like you had levels.
In that moment, I got direct reports. I got like 15 people.
Okay. So let me ask you this, because you've had leadership roles in different industries, whether it's consumer goods, healthcare, logistics, telecommunications, and you moved between these sectors. How did your expertise as a technology strategist help you manage these different groups?
Sure.
Because they're all different sectors, but I would assume the business principles are still the same for leadership.
I learned everything from the beginning. That's why I wanted to go back. I learned everything from Telecommunication Technics Corporation is to help people in a way that it doesn't matter which company you're working for and which industry. Is how can you help people to improve themselves to be better? Right. And that's what I did. What I did is I tried to serve, to be a server, right? Right. To say, okay, I'm a servant. How can I help you? And they say, well, I need to take some classes. I need to take some training in this because I know a little bit, but I'm not the master on that. Right. And I said, sure, no problem. Let's do that roadmap and help you.
You actually went that far.
Yeah, and then let me help, of course.
Okay, but now you're like acting like a mentor.
In those days. And I didn't know that.
No, that's a mentor.
I didn't know that at that moment. I was like doing my job as a manager. Right. And helping, right? Be a servant.
Sure.
And then say, okay, here it is. And after that, I said, oh, this is a mentor.
Yeah.
This is a tutor. How can I help this to students?
Well, you're helping someone plot their career. I mean, you're
Yes.
definitely doing above and beyond.
Yes.
Let me ask you this at this moment before I break, because I'm interested in this a second. There are different leadership styles.
Yes.
Sometimes you need to get the thing done right now and do this, and that's the end of the story.
Yes.
Other times you could be democratic about it. And well, let's all talk together. What do you think we should do? Be collaborative. And then, of course, there's servant leadership.
Yeah.
You got to do this job. What do you need me to do for you to get the obstacles out of the way so that you can accomplish your goal? What style do you find to be most useful long term?
Yes. I said leadership is not for everybody because you need to have that natural thinking of critical thinking, right? How to solve problems, right? So somebody told me, it's like, what happens if you see that one of the main computers break down? What do? You're going to shut down the system, that you're going to have 100,000 people without a system. How do you do that? Well, you're a leader, right? You have to have, at least you have to have a checklist.
Right.
And then you go from the checklist from bottom to up and say, okay, what do I do? I have to do this. I have to do that. Let me surround with the good people that know the system and see how can we fix the problem.
Okay.
And I'm here to help those individuals. So my leadership style is, how can I help you? How can we solve the problem? And believe in the policy and procedures that you have. It's very important to follow policies and procedures.
Okay.
Don't do anything by yourself.
Okay.
When I say that is, if the system say, don't shut down anything until we get the go from the CIO, for example.
Right.
You have to do that.
Well,
don't do it yourself.
There's a reason why the policy exists. Now, there are times where the policy is written for generically the most part, but there are exceptions to every rule.
Yes.
So it sounds like from what you just said that exceptions do exist, but they need the go-ahead from you in order to make sure that it doesn't interrupt other people and other teams.
You're always going to need the top executive, right, to say, yes, I agree with that. But you have to explain, right? You have to say, here's what it is. Here's the problem. Here's the solution. It's like a white paper. Right. You have a white paper. Here's the problem. Here's the how can you fix it, and here's the solution. Can we go to production or not? But you have to test it first.
The reason I ask is because some of our viewers are young students that just recently graduated.
I was ready to say that.
And they go into the workforce and they're being told repeatedly, show initiative. Be proactive. Don't wait for someone to ask you to do something. If you see a problem, fix the problem. And there's some problems that even if you know what the problem is, you shouldn't try to fix it in the moment. You should involve your team so that you can work collectively together. Because I could see a situation where someone had the best of intentions and they're like, oh, there's a problem. Let me shut down the server. Not knowing they just killed 100,000 customers' access to whatever. And all of a sudden, they've created a bigger headache than what the original problem was.
Yes.
And so you can show initiative, you can be proactive, but do it in a collaborative way within the team.
That's why I always say to the students, you have to be noisy.
Noisy.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I say that is, you have to ask questions.
Yes.
If you don't ask questions, you maybe miss the real problem because you don't understand what's going on. If you ask, it doesn't matter how many questions you ask. Right. You need to get there, right? If you, for example, if you're in the internship, if you are one employee as an intern, you are learning how to be better, how to try to get that job. When you are on that job as an analyst, as a coordinator, as a whatever, your supervisor is the one who's going to teach you how to do things. You are very self-efficient to do things, but never do it by yourself.
Okay.
You have to ask. That's why you have a supervisor.
Right.
And then you ask, you say, okay, sir, I have, or madam,
Yeah.
I have this problem. I divide it, and I have everything detailed. Could you please review it?
Mhm.
And your supervisor is going to review it and say, okay, let's do it.
Sounds pretty straightforward. And yet I could see a lot of people scratching their heads like, oh, okay, like this is news to them because they're new to the workforce. So they're not sure. You, as we alluded to at the beginning, you were instrumental in creating the vendor management office at TracFone Wireless.
Yes.
And I was curious to know what were the key challenges that were involved in establishing that department.
Yes.
Because that, I can imagine from the scale was not easy.
Yeah. When I came back from Venezuela, right, in 2004, I went and worked for TracFone Wireless. Mm. But I started as a project manager.
Okay.
As a technical project manager.
Okay.
At that moment, the development department, they were looking for a vendor manager to manage all the staffing, outsourcing. And I went back to the CIO and I said, here's my proposal. I can help you with that because I did it before. Not with the title of vendor management, but I know the process. Yeah. And then they took it.
And they gave you project lead.
And then they said, okay. No, they said, you're going to be the director of vendor management. And I said, oh, wow. Okay.
What does that mean, though?
It means they transferred me from the project management office to a new position as a leader and an executive in IT as a vendor manager.
How many people?
And then I have 5 people.
Okay.
But the outsourcing, or you can say the consultants as a temp, I have 250. You have to take care of...
Okay, that was a big jump.
It was a big jump. And then you have to take care of contracts with the vendors.
Oh, wow.
Rates, how to control timesheets with the functional managers.
Right.
The whole process, like a mini HR department.
You would think that upon hearing this news, you would go out for a drink and a nice dinner. And if you're anything like me, I'd be running home. Oh my God, I have 200-something people to deal with. Start reading the books. Let me refresh my memory on how to manage that big of a group.
It was a challenge. And then I started to ask questions. Like, I didn't care. I started asking questions. What do I need to make this better? Okay, we're losing money.
Okay.
They were saying the CEO came to the senior VP of development and said, if you don't fix this problem, we were like around May.
Okay.
If you don't fix this issue at the end of the year, I think I have to fire you. And
so 7 months to fix what?
To fix
probably what took years.
The process, the whole process.
This whole thing must have taken years to create, and here you are, and you've only got 6 months. 7 months to fix.
Imagine.
Yeah, you don't really have 7 months. You have probably 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Because then they have to still check it out, make sure it works, and then report back.
Exactly. So wow, I started to review everything, and then I went back to the senior VP of development and said, "Wow, sir, if you look at this, the bill rate that we have is like 30 or 40% more than on the street.
Okay.
We have to do something about this. We're losing a lot of money."
Okay.
That's all. And then he said, that's right. The CIO said that we're losing.
That was one of the problems.
That's one of the problems. So I went back to the legal department and I said, okay, we need to start doing contracts with each vendor, staffing vendor, and create a amendment to the service contract with bill rates.
Okay.
And then I started working with that, and then I dropped bill rates that you can have a project manager paying $150 an hour. I dropped it to 65.
Okay.
So I started to doing
less than half.
We started to doing that, and we did the inventory of the whole consultants that we have in the company. We used to have like 300 consultants. We went down to 65.
So you slashed a lot of that excess expense, really.
So that's why I said I'm very proud in the way that when I built the vendor management offer at TracFone,
right,
we cut costs and save. Sorry,
it's okay.
And save a lot of money.
How did you manage? I understand how you managed the initial 5 that were working in your department directly, but how were you able to manage those excess individuals that were off-site? And for all I know, they were all over the world.
Because even though I was responsible for those consultants, we had functional managers working with those consultants.
Oh, directly over there?
Yes.
Okay, so you only had to check with the managers then.
Yeah, I had to check with the manager their performance.
Right.
But I have to check with them the timesheets and the whole process.
And the KPIs and all that.
And the renewal of the contract for another 6 months or another 3 months.
Okay.
But with the functional managers, I went back to them every 3 or 6 months, and I said, okay, this is the time to do a checklist on the performance for all the consultants that you have. And that's what I did.
So while you're a new person to the department, you're bringing in your style of leadership, you're creating, in effect, your culture, irrespective of what it is at the company.
Yes.
Did that culture somehow get to those offshore individuals, those outsourced individuals?
It was difficult because they were accustomed to do that, like going directly
to their other
the other companies.
Right.
Oh, I need a consultant. I need this. So I decided to do the policy and procedure for vendor management.
Okay.
At TracFone.
So you made it clear what your expectations were.
And then in the policy and procedure, we have signatures of the whole team, stakeholders, functional managers, HR.
Oh, you made sure you involved everyone.
Yeah, of course. Because at the end, I was responsible, but they were responsible too.
Right.
So that's why I always try to teach to new students. You need to be patient. This is nothing that you're going to learn from one day to another. You have to read a lot, learn what you do, be hungry, ask questions, and learn.
Right.
And then when I finish that policy and procedure, I put it in place and we follow that.
Yeah.
And it's good because at the end, since I was going to a lot of conference and meetings and classes and all that, I learned one business case with Microsoft.
Okay.
Like, if you have consultants that you have a contract as an external employee and you pay them for a year, after a year, they could become an employee legally.
Oh.
And then you're like, oh, excuse me. So if it is legally, I have to pay insurance. I have to do the whole thing as a regular employee.
Right.
So we created a policy and procedure to cut the contract in a year.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Whether you liked them or you didn't like them.
And we said, if you like the guy, you have to hire the guy.
Oh, okay. So I understand what it is. It's not an automatic thing.
No.
So if we were to use dating as an example, what you're basically saying is that up to that point, you date the person for a year, and if you're still dating after a year and 1 day, they're automatically your spouse. They're your husband or wife. But the way that you changed it is, when the 1 year mark happens, you either propose or you break up.
Yeah, but
there was no in between.
The way we did it, I think it was more easier in a way that we created 4 different contracts.
Okay.
We did it every quarter.
Okay.
We broke down the new purchase order in 3 months. Like
so they weren't yearlies. They weren't yearlies. They were quarterlies.
Quarterlies, but you have 1 year to do these 4 contracts.
Okay.
And then we gave chance to the functional managers saying, okay, you are on the 3rd quarter. Think about it if you want to have for the last quarter and that's it, or you would like to hire this person.
So there was warning, like you stepped this out.
Yeah, because you don't want to say, this is it.
Yeah, 1 year happens and make a decision now.
Because
no.
it is difficult, for example, in technology, it's difficult to find a programmer, for example, Java developer.
Okay.
They need to learn the process of the system. And then when they learn the whole code or spaghetti code that you have in your company, you're going to say, oh, I don't want this guy anymore. And he knows everything about that.
Mm-hmm.
You prefer to have it, right?
Of course.
So he can help you. So that's why when you have on the third quarter, people start saying, oh, they went back to HR and said, can we hire this person? This person knows Java, but he's a senior. And the HR started the process to create a new position for a new project.
Well, this makes it, I would think, difficult to help with motivation, because if the person doesn't know that they're going to be offered a position after a year, like when they're starting,
No, inverse. I have to say this.
They know up front?
They know up front that, your time is a year.
Okay.
But if you do well and if you present yourself as a good programmer, you can get the job.
Right. But what I'm saying is, let's say at the beginning of the second contract.
Yes.
So after at month 4, they're not going to know if you're interested in them month 12 because they still have to perform for 8 more months.
Not even the functional manager. Remember,
right, they won't know either.
And because to learn for example, the company I used to work for, the first 3 months, they need to learn what they have. Mm-hmm. And when they learn it, then the following 3 months is when they're going to perform. But on the basic side, because, okay, I know the system, I can do this.
Right, but their performance, their performance is based on how they do those 3 quarters. So again, anything can happen, and I would think if you're good from the beginning, you're probably good at the end. Yeah, it shouldn't make a difference.
But I can say we were successful to hire a lot of people.
That's probably a reference to how good the hiring was.
Yes.
Because I'm sure you had certain parameters of.
Oh yeah.
So you made it easy for yourself too, because you're getting quality people up front.
Exactly, and then you can say with the key performance indicators at the end of the year, you could say, well, from those 200 or whatever people that we have, we can hire 10% or 15%.
Okay.
And then the following year you're gonna save this much money.
So the motivation is to do well so that you do get recognized and get offered a position to stay. So that's the intrinsic. Okay, all right.
That's why when I try to be a mentor or try to talk to the students, is you have to do well no matter what. It doesn't matter where you're at. Please do well. Try to be the best.
Because you never know who's looking and for what purpose. Let me ask you, at some point you transitioned to Brightline.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about those beautiful yellow trains. Yes. Tell me what your experience was with them.
That happened in 2018, I think.
Yeah, recent. Yeah, that's been recent.
2018. I was doing my consulting job, right, with a different name of company. Before HV Technology, I created HV Technology in 2019.
Okay.
But in 2018, I used to have another company called OpenRAM.
Okay.
I was doing the same thing with less resources.
Okay.
And I said to myself, well, I need to get another job. So I applied for the director of IT. And then
for Brightline.
For Brightline. They were looking for a director of IT and Brightline.
You would have been perfect.
Yeah. And then,
but I'm sure that they had a lot of competition for that.
Of course, I guess.
Brightline was the new shiny thing. Everyone had wanted to get in on this.
In those days.
Yeah.
And then I have an interview with a wonderful person. And he liked my resume. And he said, can you start on Monday? So, oh, yeah, sure. Like I interviewed on Friday. He said, can you start on Monday? I said, sure. I received the offer letter on the weekend with the whole package. And I said, sure, let's do it. And then it was a nice package. And then I started to work there, and I noticed they were very disorganized because they didn't have like a structure in IT.
You're brand new.
Yeah. So I started to try to help them in different applications and different roles. So the main role that I was trying to help, it was on purchasing.
Okay.
They had a module in the ERP application they have that it was inactive. And imagine the purchasing department doing purchase orders, request for proposals manually. That was pretty bad.
And mind you, this is supposed to be a 21st century
But it happens.
train company, and here we are.
And it happens. And
They were still doing things on Excel.
Exactly. And then I went back and then I said, okay, let me check the application that you have. It was NetSuite.
Okay.
And then the NetSuite, I start reviewing it. And I see that they have all the modules and they have everything, but nobody have active anything. And I said, huh?
So they paid for it, but
And
they
it
never
was sitting there.
integrated it.
Because they didn't have an admin, they didn't have one person reviewing it.
But now they have you.
Yeah, exactly. And then I went back to the purchase manager.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I think I can help you. And we started to work in that and try to automate the system. And we almost did it. But it came, almost COVID came and the company got very, I don't know what happened to Brightline those days. And they fired everybody.
Well, things got complicated with them because the original team that invested in them and tried to bring them to market ended up being replaced once.
Yes.
And then Virgin got involved. Yeah. And no sooner did Virgin get
involved. I was there when Virgin
when the transition. And no sooner were they there, it almost feels like
it never happened. The Virgin deal never happened.
It never really happened. Nope. I mean, I think they got as far as, I think they painted one of the trains, or they were testing things out. Yeah. But it never really went anywhere. And then it reverted back to Brightline.
It's kind of funny because
they're huge in the UK.
Of course. This guy from Virgin,
Sir Richard Branson?
Yeah, Richard Branson. He only invested like 5% at that moment. And then I said, why 5%? Why no more? And he was looking to see, he was selling his brand.
Yes. In order to get attention for the process.
Before they do anything.
Right.
And then I said, I don't like that. So at the end, it didn't happen.
Well, you're a process guy.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that the substance is there.
Yes.
Before you worry about the form, before the advertising. So I get where you're coming from.
So it didn't happen. So he broke the deal.
Okay.
And Brightline said, no, we're gonna go with the Brightline all the way. So and then COVID came. That was pretty bad, and they let go everybody.
Oh, that's sadly something that happened everywhere.
They closed for a little bit, and a lot of friends, they didn't go back, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I think it was a good company to be at. New technology. They were very hungry in implement new things. But it happens,
Well, they're now out in full force.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep getting emails from them almost every day. So I know that they're functioning.
And not only that, they bought a company in a company that was connecting Las Vegas and California.
Right, because that's the alternate one. That's the one that they're trying to make work as well.
And it's working fine right now. So they're growing. It's gonna get better, but it's
gonna take time.
They need money.
Yeah.
So after that, it's like I said to myself, no, I prefer. No, I left Brightline in 2019, and COVID came, everything stopped. But I created HV Technology.
It was around that same time, right before COVID.
2019.
Right.
And I created to be a consultant. And to be sure I can do gap analysis in companies that, mid-size, small size, to help them, and cloud systems, cyber security, and artificial intelligence.
So you and your team are contacted by a company, they have technology issues, and they need outside experts to come in and say, this is what we need, or this is how it needs to change in order for it to work better.
Yes.
And do you love it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is something that I always tried to do before, but I couldn't
Right.
because different issues or problems.
Mhm.
Now it's like, wow, now they can listen what I'm saying.
Right.
And the good thing about this, you have to train yourself.
Mhm.
It's like I say to students, you can go out and start looking for a job.
Mhm.
What is the first company that, companies are going to say, oh, you don't have the experience?
Mhm.
Always happen, right?
Right.
So you can say to manage that is you have to train yourself in different areas
Mhm.
that you love.
Right.
If you love technology, you have to train yourself, for example, in Agile,
Mhm.
right? The framework Agile. You can train yourself in project management.
Mhm.
You can train yourself in Agile by getting certificates like Scrum Master
Mhm.
or Product Owners, right? Or
Mhm.
SAFe. That's going to help your background and you can see the process, how to do things
Well,
and help company.
like you're a green belt, I think.
Yeah,
Lean
I'm a
Sigma.
green belt in
Yeah.
Six Sigma. I didn't want to get the black belt because I'm not in manufacturing, right? But if you know the green belt, you have the whole spectrum, right?
Well, knowing you with enough time, you'll probably get
Oh,
it
no,
too.
no, yeah.
Knowing you, you're like, hey, while I'm at it, let me just pick up a black.
Another one.
What is it? What's the top one? It's a black belt champion or
yeah,
something
exactly,
like that.
Yeah.
You've managed multi-million-dollar IT budgets.
Yes, sir.
What advice would you give to a leader that is trying to balance innovation, because there's so many different technologies
Yes.
available,
Yes.
with cost management?
Yes.
How can they balance?
Well, first you need to know what is your budget.
Well,
right? Because you can have the nice proposal to the stakeholders, but if you're off the budget, nobody's gonna listen to you. So the first thing you do, since I'm working in vendor manager, I said I can have the spectrum saying, okay, I need to know how much budget do you have as a functional manager to do this project.
Okay.
And then from there, you need help.
Of course.
If you don't, yourself is like, no way. You need help from vendors. When I say that is, they have the expertise. I'm not saying that you're gonna give them the contract, but you need to have, you create something called request for information. When you do that, it's a document where you're gonna ask the vendor for the technology or the project that you're gonna do, how they can help you to do that.
Okay.
And if you want, later they can break down cost.
So it sounds like your concern is don't sell them the thing you want to sell them because it has good margins. It's better to find the solution that perfectly fits, even if it's not the newest thing.
You can say that, yeah.
Okay. I ask because I know individuals in the tech sector that they will talk to a customer, and the customer will go through the entire process. They'll do a discovery, and then they'll have the presentation with the slide deck and everything. They already have the numbers. And then when it's time to talk about implementation, which is its own cost, they start saying, oh, but that product has AI in it, right? Because that's the buzzword now for everything. And it's like, yeah, but your material doesn't require AI.
Yeah.
You know, not everything needs machine learning or any kind of AI, and much less the generative. And all of a sudden they feel like they're not getting the newest thing because they cannot brag about it to somebody else.
Yes.
Hey, listen, our company has AI.
Yeah.
How does that work out?
Yeah, sure. I always say everything's communication. Definitely. I would say salespeople is going to go out there and sell whatever. Whatever the CIO tells them to do.
Okay.
For example, my experience is, if you work for a telephone company, for example, for a phone company, the CIO is going to say, I need you to sell all the phones we have.
Okay.
I don't care. Right? So
that's their priority.
The salespeople are going to go out and sell all the models, everything we have.
Right.
Have sometimes self-marketing and product development needs to go back to IT. Why? Because some of the features they don't have at this moment, and customer are asking for new features.
Of course.
And then, but they sell it anyways. They say, okay, yeah, we can give it to you, no problem, because they want to sell, because the CIO say you need to sell.
Right.
But when they go back to IT, it's kind of, okay, but you never talked to me about this. You never said this. What is the roadmap? How much time do we have to do this? Right?
Well, that's usually the transformation agent or the architect. They're the ones who ask those questions to kind of put it together.
Yeah,
but sales doesn't care. They're like trying to do it.
I want revenue.
But well, they're accomplishing their goal, which is important.
But
there's like a disconnect.
Yeah, in my opinion, there's a big disconnect.
Yeah.
In those areas that you need to have somebody in the middle. I don't care if it is a vendor manager, if it is. I don't care. But you need to have somebody in the middle to be sure that everybody's talking.
Should that person in the middle be the project manager?
It could be a project manager.
No, but should they be? Because I almost feel like they're the translator. Sales needs to sell the product. IT needs to make sure the product exists or works.
But even the project manager sometimes doesn't talk to the IT.
Okay, well that's...
Because, but it happens because... If you had a mature process, it could happen.
Okay.
But if you don't have a mature process...
Yeah. Well, this is the problem. You go into a new company. Here you are a consultant, and you're telling them this is how you have to do things.
But you need to have a responsibles.
Do you have in-house consulting in the sense that, like, you'll say, okay, I'll work with your company in order to change it, but that means you're actively in their company?
Well,
or is it yours is more advisory where you kind of analyze?
My idea is to be an advisor.
Okay.
But if you need services, I have a services contract.
Oh, good. Okay.
In a way that, okay, you need a project manager, this is how much you're going to pay. You need developers, this is how much.
Well, because you already know how to do it. So it's easy for you to, should it be needed and they don't have it themselves.
That should be like that. Because why? It's because when you go to a company, the customer doesn't care.
No, they just want it done.
He's asking about a product. And the product that he wants is this. And I want this in 3 months. That's it. And then you have to go back and say, okay, how do we do this?
And how are you leading your teams along the way? Because here you are, a non-employee, but a consultant.
Yep.
You're coming in, you're basically taking charge. CEO's given the blessing. And you go in and you've taken charge. And now you have to establish yourself, or your team member has to establish themselves. Listen, I know I'm not an employee of the company, but I am now in charge of this. How do you establish leadership expectations with them? Because in the other company, you had policies.
That's why you need to have people with the right experience. When I say that is, let's say that you're gonna do, for example, an agile transformation. How do you do that? Very difficult.
I was gonna say it's gonna take some time.
Very difficult. Even though it takes some time, if you have the team in how to do that, you will do it. In a way that you need coaches, you need tutors, you need how you can transfer the knowledge to the agile coach that is going to be internal. So it's not easy, but you have a job in a way that, okay, and also you need to have your cost breakdown in how much this is going to be. So that's why I took my MBA and I took my doctor's degree in business administration.
Right.
I was very technical, everything technology. And then when I transferred to business administration, I said, okay.
It rounded you out.
Yep. And then I said, okay, I understand how we need to do this.
Right. Yeah, because, I mean, back in the day, you would have an efficiency expert.
Yeah.
Now, you have to have someone with at least an MBA, and they're kind of part psychologist, part coach, in order just to implement these kind of transformative changes.
Not only that, I mean, it's not that you're going to do everything.
No, but you
need to know.
You have to know how the pieces are going to look.
Yes.
So you can tell people what to do so that it gets to that point.
Yes.
Your doctoral research focuses on technology acceptance,
yes,
AI risk, and adoption of smart devices.
Yes.
Very specific.
Yes.
That's a very specific thing. what motivated you to explore these topics, and what were the key insights that your discoveries
Yes.
achieved?
When I started to do it, it's kind of funny because, like I said, 3 decades before, I was doing a lot of things in electronics, telecommunication, and I never thought that I have to go back to school. And then after I got the before I got I created HV technology.
In 2019.
That's 2016.
16.
Yeah,
Okay.
2016. I, gather all my family. I always do that. I grab all my family in the living room and I said, I got news for you. And then everybody's, what's going on, Dad? And then I had 3 kids, and they're all, they have, I got 4 grandkids. And
Congratulations.
Then, yes, thank you. And then my wife, and I said, well, I think I have to, I'm going back to school. They're like, what? Well, if you want to do that, Dad, go ahead. So I did that. I went back to the MBA, and then beautiful MBA. And then when I finished,
Where'd you do your MBA?
International business.
Okay, but here?
Here
At FIU.
FIU, yeah. And then when I finished, I was talking to Dr. Lazar from the FIU, and he said, you should do your doctors. We have a new DBA, whatever. I said, oh, but what is the gain for me, right? What is?
Well, because you have your own company, and
Yeah,
MBA
and
pretty
then
much covers a lot of
If I'm going to
things.
be a consultant, I'm already a consultant. So I said, would you like to teach? Like, be a mentor, be somebody that can help people? And I said, oh, that's a good idea. Let me check the whole thing. And then I went to talk to Dr. Maracas, and he said, yeah, you can do your doctor's degree, and you can do the dissertation in whatever you want, because you're going to be an expert.
Yeah.
And sincerely, it happened like that.
Well, you were already an expert from everything that I've read.
When I started to do the doctor's degree, I was, okay, this is more on the business side, but I want to go in technology.
Okay.
So when I talked to Dr. Lazar, he was my major professor, and Dr. Maraca too. And then he said, you can do that with the technology access model and do your dissertation. And explain to him, I would like to do this in smart devices, IoT, artificial intelligence. Go ahead, prepare it. And I did it, and I got fun. It was, but it was fun until one time, in a way that in 2019, September, at the end of September, I had health issues, in a way that I had a heart attack, and I went to the hospital. It's, oh wow, what happened? And then,
now this is while you were doing the doctorate?
Yes. And then I was working 80 hours every week.
I heard about this because in real time I'm hearing the news.
Yeah.
But I heard it was more serious than just that.
No,
you make it sound like, I picked up a gallon of milk while I was at it.
Exactly. And then it was pretty bad. I have a quadruple bypass.
Oh, that's as serious as it gets.
That's serious. Yeah. And then I had issues with my legs and the whole thing. I'm like, oh my God. So the whole thing passed. And then 2 friends of mine in the doctor's degree, Walter Diaz and Dr. Tony, they told me, don't quit. Keep going. And that's what I did.
The temptation was to leave because of the health problems?
Of course.
And they kept you going.
And then they're saying, no, man, you're almost there. You're doing your dissertation. Don't. I mean, I graduated a year later because of the whole thing, but I did it.
Did you end up having 1 heart attack or?
No, I have one.
Just one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one's enough. One's enough. Trust me. I've seen. It's just usually people get multiple, back to back.
So. No. Only one. And then I had the quadruple bypass. I feel great. I mean,
Yeah, now you should feel amazing.
exactly. And then after that, my new passion is research and be a consultant related to my doctor's degree.
Well, you have, interestingly enough, committed one of your research points on stroke patients.
Yes.
And you did it with Dr. Scott Phillips,
Yep.
who we've had on the show.
Yes.
And you are trying to find out how AI can help as far as the pre and the post diagnosis.
Yes. Pre and post.
Was that because of your health scare?
Yeah, you can say that.
Oh, yeah, I would be very inspired to do that too if I were you.
And also my sister, she had a stroke.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm doing this for her.
That's beautiful. You see this, you're making it work for more than just one thing. That's lovely. How's your sister right now? Is she okay?
She's doing okay, yeah.
Okay. How big a stroke? There's a long recovery usually.
Well, she got, on the same time, she got one stroke and then 3 more. Like,
the little one. Yeah.
But she's doing fine, you know.
Okay, but you don't stop there. So I know that you have 3 or 4 articles you're working on at the same time.
Yeah. Publish it 5.
Using
right
artificial intelligence and IoT
yes.
as the majority of them.
Yes.
In fact, you have one that's emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I need to know about that. So tell me how emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence connect for you.
It's very, everything's related to healthcare, right?
Yes.
Right now I'm working with Dr. Phillips, Scott Phillips, at the University of New Orleans. I'm helping him in research. We are like in the final stages. I'm the one who working on the statistical results, data analysis, and we finish it, and we get accepted on the ACHE conference. That's going to be next March.
So you can present?
He's going to present it.
Okay.
Because he represents the New Orleans University.
Of course.
So we're 3 doctors. But he's the one who's going to present it.
But that's still very exciting.
No, this is. I mean,
and not just
we
one.
are very proud.
And you're with him on a few of these projects because
yes.
I mean it's statistics. I mean it's just math. I mean it's just
but I took whatever he's doing in the area of artificial intelligence. I'm helping him. Because
that's you.
I'm in love.
He's medical. You're technology.
Yeah,
you're both a marriage made in heaven.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's been a great partnership.
Well,
so
I mean,
far.
they're talking about all sorts of things, like, for example, having radiologists be augmented with the use of AI. Because up to now, they use algorithms that just look for specific things, but now they're having AI make determinations.
Yes.
Because they can see patterns that we can't.
That, I mean, you can have a AI, for example, in insurance companies, to listen and have reports when you do in the call centers, when you receive calls. And then, for example, if somebody's trying to get a new insurance for the new year, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever, and then you can have AI to listen to the customers, and then you have a report of all the customers you have, all the calls you have, and then you can have forecasts what you can sell better to those customers.
Based on what the customers are seeing
and
in
that's
real time.
AI.
Yeah, because up to now, the only thing that a marketing officer would receive would be what has actually been done, or surveys. Yes. But here you would get real-time information.
Of course, you need a lot of work, a lot of memory, like a computer memory.
You probably have a special server just dedicated for this one thing. Yes. But I love technology.
Yes.
I love where technology is.
I always said when technology works, it's amazing. If it doesn't work.
Well, that's why they have you, because you make sure it works. You're the key master. You go to major conferences like Agile International and Euromed.
Yes.
And you're in the mix. You're in the sandbox. You're there with all the players.
Yes.
What are the recurring themes that you've heard among your colleagues, regarding, digital transformation, with the global audiences? What are the things that you're hearing seems to be the trend?
I went to a virtual conference in University of Pisa.
Okay.
Italy,
Italy.
like a month ago. And of course, it was related to AI and smart devices and the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they never stopped asking questions at the end of the my presentation
Mm-hmm.
about how AI can help them, project managers, agile processes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is there. People are hungry.
Yeah.
Not only hungry, they need more information, but real information.
Right.
When I say that, it's the same thing when I talk to students. I said, don't stop. You have to learn. If you have to use the generative AI and learn more how to be a prompt engineer, go for it and certificate yourself. And be sure that you understand what you're doing.
So that brings up another interesting point, and then we're going to take a slight turn here. But there's right now a battle on university campuses with generative AI.
Of course.
Up to now, AI has been around for 30, 40, 50 years if you think about how it works. But generative AI is kind of a new thing.
Yes.
And some individuals use it to better learn a subject, have it like a study partner.
Yes.
Others are taking it to the extreme where they're saying, I need you to write an essay for me.
Yes.
As a professor, what is your opinion on generative AI?
Yes.
Because it has utility. You're a technology person. You get it in a way most professors don't.
We have to understand that AI is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to replace anybody.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't use it, that's it. But the tool is to help you. I always say, we're going back 30, 35 years ago when you started to use personal computers.
Mm-hmm.
People, they didn't want to use it. I mean, people were like, no, I'm not going to use that. What about if I get burned? What about if I do this? It happened to me when I was doing the admin side.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, I always say, this is a tool, and you're going to have applications that you can use to help your projects or to help your work. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with AI. Now, people say, oh, but we need to have control. We need to have this. Okay. But what you need to have is the ethical process on how do you use AI.
Mm-hmm.
When I say that is, if you're going to use generative AI to do your papers, how do you can use that? Mm-hmm. Okay, you need reference with authors, dates, and the link of that paper.
Well, a generative AI is famous for hallucinating.
That's what I'm saying.
They'll give you authors and dates and page numbers and everything, and it's all fake. It's not real.
Well, it depends. You need to be prepared in a way that, for example, I'm doing a paper, and then I said, please give me reference and give me dates and whatever.
Oh, but then
are you going to review the paper, or are you going to give it to somebody else? You have to review it.
Of course, that's a responsible thing to do.
That's professional and responsible for each person.
Okay.
And then you review it.
So you're okay with it being of assistance, but at the end of the day, because it's your name on the paper, you need to review it. You need to double check it. You need to make sure
you need to triple check.
Well, triple check it. And then make sure that it is to your professional standard.
Not only that, the hallucination is something that is real.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can tell, as a prompt engineer, you can say, okay, write me a paper if I were William Shakespeare. It's going to give you very nice, poetic paper. So it's your responsibility to be sure that you're doing the right thing. Now, you are asking if it is good or not to use it. I said, yes, use it, but with responsibilities.
Okay, but that's how it should be for everything. So, okay. Now we're going for a turn towards the personal. You've had setbacks in your career.
Yes.
No one is born a CEO and everything's working and everyone's happy. No, you're going to have all sorts of setbacks. I've had divorces, miscarriages, cancer,
yes.
you name it.
Yes.
you had a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just you trying to get your doctorate.
Yep.
But you've had a long and storied career. Are there any particular story or setback that you can recall where obviously you overcame it, but that really made you question your career choice and how to move forward? And if so, how did you convince yourself to?
I think everything happened when I was a teenager.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, my passion was baseball, right? I said, "Oh, I'm gonna be a big leaguer. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm a good player. I know how to do this. I know how to bat. The whole process." Do you have the 5 points that it makes you a good player? And I said, well, no, I don't have the 5, but I have maybe 4 or maybe 3 that, to get there.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I'm going to get there. What happened? It didn't happen. So I said to myself, oh, wow, this is a boo-boo. How can I, go back and do other things?
Right.
And then I said, well, you love technology. You have to go back and do it. That's what I said. You never stop doing things. You're going to fail, but you're going to stand up and keep walking.
So with that,
that's one.
That's just one. I mean, I'm sure you've had quite a few interesting ones. As we wrap up, what is what you consider to be the most important advice you could give to any student or any person that's either starting in the workforce, they just got a bachelor's, or they've pivoted after 10, 15 years and they now have a master's, for example?
Yes.
What advice would you give them from your many years as a leader?
Yes. My advice is to never stop learning. When I say that is, if you get your bachelor's, it's because you finish a project. You started a project, right? And you finish it, and you have to be proud that you finished that. Because a lot of people never finish.
Right.
So if you finish, now you have to create. I always say that to my family, especially my sons. I said to my children, I said, please create a roadmap, lifetime roadmap.
Okay.
What is my goal after I finish this degree? I need to find a job. I need to find a job where I love. Because if I find a job that I don't like it, I'm going to quit in 3 months.
Right.
You're going to try to put, maybe you need to find a job because you need money and you're going to work in a bank. But that doesn't stop you in learning and search for your real job. So you need to be prepared for out there, for whatever is going to happen out there. And the learning part is exceptional, fundamental for your mental health, in a way that if you know, it's like somebody else said, how many books you read a week? I don't read. So you have an issue, right? I mean, you need to start learning new things. And to learn new things is to read.
Right.
And to read doesn't mean that you're going to read a novel or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Just keep up with
the technology. That's it.
And books are a technology. Just keep up with it.
Not only that, I think technology is everything. It doesn't matter where you work at. Because when you work in a company, for example, I always said, I took 5 different math in my career. But when I went to get my first job, the person said, do you know Excel? So I'm like, okay, but I know math. Yeah, but you need to know the application to do that.
Right. Dr. Vichi,
I appreciate it.
You have been a gentleman. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom with us. And I'm sure our audience is definitely going to be impacted by it. And I
hope
wish you
so.
nothing but the very best.
I hope so.
All right. Leadership is about more than experience. It's about leaving a legacy for the next generation. Take the time to share your knowledge and inspire those who will follow in your footsteps. This episode is dedicated to the mentors and visionaries who guide us toward a brighter future. I'm Alex Ponce. See you next time.